Day 171, and I wanted to talk to you about a very important topic. So, everybody who doesn't know me, you should watch my previous videos to understand what I'm going through with health wise and my MS and everything. And that carnivore fixed my MS, but I have other symptoms that are not getting fixed, not even on carnivore. The doctors don't know what it is. It's just all over the place, starting on the left side and so on and so on. So I'm now for weeks at around 40 doctors, you know, talking to a lot of people from all around fields, from every possible field that there is in medicine and also alternative things. So I did a lot of things. Yesterday, something showed up that is a little bit shocking, I would say, which I had also in mind. It's like my last stop. I'm still missing from my to-do list where to go. So, and we need to address that. Especially, I think that more women should be aware of that. Also, men, but especially women. When it comes to plastic surgery and what this is doing to your body and what it can do, because the things that I found out are shocking, and I didn't expect that, to be honest. So most of you know the story. So in short, when I was 19, I had some breast implants because I was very unhappy. I was always sad. I had just nothing, and my friend got them, and she knew the doctor, so she made me an appointment for under 3,000 euros, which cost normally 6,000. So um I got a very cheap deal with the doctor. He's still working, that's what I found out today. And um I had the surgery done, and the problem was you usually have these I don't know the English word, it's like a catheter, where the blood is coming out just in case and so on. So it's 15 years ago, and I didn't even consider anything. I didn't even been bothered to talk to him before. I was just making the appointment because my friend did it, so I want to do it, and I had the money, and I wanted to have that. And I was definitely too young to make this decision. So between us, I think that a lot of things that are happening now in the world are so irresponsible. Putting also kids on hormone things and let them make decisions for the rest of their life is insanity. And I need to address that because I was 19 and I was too young and not mature enough to make such a decision, because I made it out of my friends do it, I want to do it. And I was watching it all then, Vogue and these kind of newspapers. I was at the time when I was 16 started to a little bit of doing photo modeling stuff. So I was in this, being surrounded by beautiful women. I had situation where I was put in awful situations, which were due to my weight, because I was actually really trained and thin, but I was too big still than the other girls who were booked for stuff, and I didn't want to even model at the time. I was just asked because of my pictures that I had online, and I was asked by agencies if I want to participate in some kind of events and so on, and they they asked me about my size, and I said, it's an SM. Usually the models had XX ass. And they said, no, that's no way you have that size, because they're seeing me like you guys are seeing, but my down, it's like I have a really big butt and just big thighs, and I had them then as well. So what I look like that, and when you see me in real life, it's something completely different. I just look different on camera and also on pictures. So when I have been to these kind of events, I had it was a concert of Jan Delay. He's like a famous singer, and I was in the car with all these models, and we should get dressed. And when I came there, I will never forget the face and the look of the guy who was organizing these things, who was like the model agency guy, and how he looked at me. It was so bad. It was just really bad. You know, I'm a very empathic person, and I can see what people think very easily, and it was really bad. And all the other girls did get fitted, and I told him what kind of dress size he should order, but he didn't listen. So there were only dress sizes available which were much tighter than mine, and so on. So I was put in a situation where I couldn't get dressed, and it was I was so sad, and I was crying. And I had the luck that these girls were really supportive. Really, I was in a lucky situation. And all the three girls, I think it was three girls at the time, who was driving with me there, they got me up in secret and tried to just zip my dress up, so it was so tight I couldn't even breathe. And then they used some, you know, things just to make it look different, but to make cover the little thing that didn't close up. And it was really a tough time, and I felt so uncomfortable. So all this time I always felt very bad in my body, and since I was 16 I was put in this position that I always felt bad in my body. And they all had like breasts and so on, so I was constantly in these kind of situations, which I didn't even want to be. It was more out of fun. That's how I also made some money. You know, I was working as a flyer girl for some events, and we were just, you know, also bottle girl and doing these kind of things very young. And when my friend at the time told me that, I wanted to do it. So I was at the surgery, and it's 15 years ago, so I can just tell you some bits and pieces that I can remember. But the problem was that after the surgery, my friend was telling me, and also the media was showing me, oh, you can immediately stand up and go home. And that was my impression. So when I woke up, I was alone in the room with, I can't remember if somebody was there, but the medical stuff wasn't there. So I woke up still anesthetic and anesthesia, and I get up, and I thought I can now get dressed and just go home, because I was still a little bit, you know, in this situation, you are on medication. And I got up, and I remember, it's like the worst thing you can do after such a surgery, I did lift my hands. And that's, you are not supposed to lift your hands for weeks. And I was lifting them, and I was getting dressed, and I remember, this is the last thing I remember, I was just, you know, putting it on, and then I saw in a corner of my eye that something is sticking out, and I was like, what is that? You know, I was like, oh, what is that? What is it? And that was the catheter thing that's getting full of blood, where the drainage is called, I think. So that started suddenly, whoa, there's going a lot of blood. That's the last thing I remember. Then I looked at the door, and I remember the nurse getting in, and she was in shock, and she was like, what the hell are you? And then I was gone. So that's the last thing I remember. I woke up, and everything was still fine. She said, yo, you know, I was anesthetic, and I didn't realize that I couldn't get up and so on. So there was complications because I did that. It's my own fault. But I was like, you know, and they had to keep me there. Then I think it was 3 days, something around that. And they were putting, because at night I was in so much pain on the left side, which is making me no troubles, but on a rib cage. But still, it was the left side. And they were putting narcotics in like big jabs or injections into my breast, just to neutralize the pain, because it was so damn painful. And I remember then going home and never thinking about that. So that's the only thing I remember. I can't remember anything about that time. And I know that I have at home maybe one document of this thing, and I could remember today, it just popped in my head, the name of the doctor after 15 years. These are the things that I never took care, because I was just too young to make such a decision, you know, and I wasn't thinking anything about it. It's just an easy, you know, you put it in, everything is cool, then you're gonna look good, you're gonna solve all your problems that you have with your insecurities, and then the life is going to be so great and so perfect. That was in my mind. And I don't know if the last 15 years basically I had any troubles in that direction. I can't, even if I did, I can't remember. So they looked perfect, they felt very natural. Some people didn't even recognize it. My scars are visible if you see it because it's very down there, so it's just not that big of a deal. And when I started this YouTube channel, and I started experiencing a lot of strange pain, which I said it doesn't come from the MS, because all my MS symptoms, with I was in a wheelchair with my hand, with my symptoms, with my sensitivity, I couldn't, think. My brain just stopped working, and a lot of things happened in 2019. But then 2 years ago, this strange left side pain happened, and it did not feel like it comes from the MS, because I knew my body then and I knew it now. So that's when I started, even 1 year ago, already go to the doctors, make ultrasounds and so on, and they couldn't find anything. Besides, when they ultrasounded my breast, they see the capsule which protects, the body is creating like a tissue to protect itself from this thing that you put in your body. And you should look it up, then you can see what this means and how this looks like, because it's actually interesting also for people just who are interested in medical things. So how the body works, it is very interesting, because it will come to the point which I think will make some of you guys also think of their own situations as also men. So because what happened then, I started, researching and all these things. So watch my last videos, and you will see what I went through. It was hard. And one of the people who are commenting on my videos said something, I think it was 2 weeks ago or something around that. And how I interpreted it, I'm not sure if I even interpreted it, but that popped in my head. It's like, with autoimmune diseases, your body is fighting something that doesn't belong there. And that was a moment where I was thinking, so I didn't think about that like this, Of course, I know what autoimmune diseases and so on, and the body is fighting itself, but I never thought about, I was always thinking about, that's MS, that's my Hashimoto, that's my illness. What does the illness probably come from? Which for MS, it's maybe the Epstein-Barr virus, which people do think in theory and so on. So there are a lot of theories on how it comes, and also the B12 and the Borrelios and everything. I went through this, so a lot of videos are showing my whole health history. But the problem was that I wasn't thinking about is actually, what is my body fighting against? That was the wake-up call. That was thinking, everybody who has an autoimmune disease has something in their body which doesn't belong there. And when I took a timeline and made a timeline when my symptoms showed up, but I didn't consider the MS, which started 2019, which was long before COVID. It's not long before, but it was before all the injections and crap that went through my body. My pain started after, my strange pain, which I said it's not from the MS. And I made a timeline based on the pictures that I was having when the pain was started, and what did I do before, what happened before, and so on. So, and I'm sorry, and so I created this timeline, and I came to the point that at this year, when this pain started, I had an MS seizure. I had put maybe 4 MRIs with contrast at the time. So I had contrast in my body. Then we had also started the medication for my disc prolapse, which was even slight opiates at some point, because my pain, I just couldn't get up because of the pain. And I also started MS treatments at the time, and had cortisone, high cortisone, and both with the mix is also causing gastritis type C. So a lot of things happened in my body. So I was thinking that my body is fighting these things, which also pretty sure it's the case, all these medication drugs that are combined in my body, which was a lot in 1 year. Just for one person, it's a lot of very hardcore medications that went through my body. And me having already an autoimmune disease, which weakens my body, to put that much toxic in it, it's just logical sense that this is not gonna work. Your body at some point will just say, are you insane? So my whole now last days, I was thinking about how to get this toxic out of my body. Is there something that you can detox? I talked to the doctors. Is there something? Because the doctors here are very against the vaccinations. They are very against a lot of things. And they are also pro-carnivore, which I found here. So I'm really surrounded by the right people now. And also the doctor who had autoimmune issues, she said, we messed up. She said, oh, I messed up because I had to visit my family and so on. So we did have to get the injections and medications and these kind of things because a lot of things happened at the time. And you can't beat yourself up of that because you didn't know, you couldn't do anything else. Now you know better, even you knowing maybe then, but still it was a hardcore situation for everybody for many, many reasons. Being scared and you know, for others, not even for yourself. So let's not dive into that. But she said, it's done. It changed you. It changed me, she said. And there is very little you can do to undo it besides what you're already doing with the carnivore and, you know, just trying different kind of alternative things also to heal, not to take pain meds, to try to work out, have physiotherapy, massages, homeopathic things that maybe help you, meditation, and these kind of things. And I had an appointment made for my last stop, which was the aesthetic clinic doctor in Belgrade, which a friend of mine gave me. So what I realized is when I talked to her, she said, you know, her doctor told her the women who had, especially who had their breasts done, are never supposed to go without a bra because the weight of the implants will go into the rib cage and it will make some trouble. So she told her, never, never go without a bra, you know, just evening sleep maybe, but, you know, get it as 99%. I didn't have that in mind. I'm not sure if my doctors told me then because 15 years ago, so I didn't listen anyway. And especially the last 2 years and in summer, I'm not wearing them because of my dresses and how they, you know, feel, and our backs is just free. So when she said that, I talked to my mom and we went to the lady and we get some, you know, bras and so on. And I started wearing them now a couple of days and my pain got a little bit better. So I'm doing a lot of things at the same time. So a lot of things can cause me a little bit of relief. Also at therapy clinic with a lot of, you know, these electro thingies and my massage therapist and Jodie Spencer on meditation and, you know, the food here and with the meat and so on. So just my mental health. There are so many reasons why it got maybe a little bit better. But I do think that, or I thought yesterday as well, that one of the biggest reasons was because the pressure with bras is a little bit off these pain, which is under the rib cage. So I started just out of curiosity looking into it because I was thinking, you know, I will fix that. It's okay. You know, I will just do the physiotherapy thing and so on. So maybe that will help me because it helped me. But something in my head just popped up and I was saying, you know, I need to look this up because I thought I shouldn't do the surgery. I shouldn't remove them just if everything is fine because it's so dangerous to remove them, especially with my MS. It can backfire completely. So I didn't want to think about it anymore and I wanted to cancel my appointment and now just go and, you know, have some off time. But something in my head just popped and I said, I just want to see on YouTube how the doctors are removing these implants and how this works out of curiosity. And I started looking into that and that's what most people get wrong. And that's so bad. that all these women nowadays are getting implants and these things, because what I found out, even after not even 3 hours, and what I saw from the surgeons itself, it's horrifying. And especially with all the women, what I'm gonna talk about, because they, when you remove these implants, you can do it even with a local anesthetic. It's about 5 minutes. A doctor showed it live as well, so you can look it up. And it's so easy. They're just putting it out. They're taking the same scarf that you have. They're putting it out, easy cheesy. She's just, not even asleep. She's watching TV. That's easy, but that's not the problem. And that's what they are not telling you. They are not really preparing you for what the real deal is. It's about this capsule. This capsule is making the troubles, because your body is starting to have these, and I don't want to, talk about the medical stuff. Please look it up. I'm just trying to picture it just to make you understand what my problem now is. The longer it's inside, for me, it's 15 years. My body is capsuled it with tissue and stuff to understand that. And the problem here is, when you have issues, and everybody should do that, they should remove it with this whole capsule. And it's not like, okay, this is an implant, this is a capsule, and you're just gonna take it out of your body and that's the easy part. No, they are taking, I think it's a laser. They really have to, cut it out of your body. So what's the worst part, and that's what one of the women, also beautiful woman, beautiful, really one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. She talks about it, because the problem is, which don't people don't talk about it, is the front capsule. That's not the issue. It's what's on the other side, because your breast is also making it like a hole. So what's happening is that this part of this tissue and this capsule is being attached to your rib cage. And what happens is, this attachment to the rib cage is getting tighter and tighter after years, or it can be, and most of the women it happened. So it got tighter and tighter, and that makes your lungs get tighter and tighter. That's why a lot of women experience these, and it's so horrifying that they can't breathe. And you don't even think about it, especially now after Corona. Everybody's thinking, it's Corona, so blah blah blah. But actually that can happen, and after years and years, that this capsule is just getting closer and tighter. And the problem with the removal is, the front part is the easy part, but the problematic things why a lot of doctors also don't want to remove this capsule thing is because it's very likely and very, very easy to, while you're removing this, to puncture the lung. And that's the problem, because when you puncture your lung, you can imagine what can happen. So that's one thing. The other thing was also surgeons showing they removed 2 of the implants. One was completely intact. The tissue that is the capsule that is around it, it's very light. You can see through, the skin. But the other one was completely intact too, but it was yellow. It was not white, it was turning yellow. The tissue surrounding it, the capsule, was very thick, and it was having yellow things on it. And that's the problem also with the MRIs and the ultrasounds. They don't see that. They cannot see if something is really wrong with the implants. That's also what happened to Yolanda Hadid, Bella Hadid's mom, and so on. So they don't catch it if something is really wrong. What they catched on me with the ultrasound and that part, they said that the capsule is really tight, and they see kind of scars getting, but I can't see them. So with a lot of women, they can then see it because the breast is getting crumbled, but mine are perfect. So I can't see it. They can't see it on an MRI or ultrasound. So I didn't want to consider that at that point, because it's just a very dangerous thing. And also one of my followers mentioned once a breast implant illness, BII, I think it's called. And since I googled that surgery, my algorithm on YouTube changed, and suddenly a lot of YouTube videos from women who got issues and so on showed up. One of them was even Mel Robbins. I hope I'm saying her name right. It's the famous author from High Five Yourself in a Mirror, blonde one, black, thick, dark glasses. So she explained, and that's insanity, that her implants were taken out of market, and I think she had it for 3-4 years or something around that, and they were taking off market because they're making, I think it was kind of a breast cancer situation, so it doesn't matter, but that's also a thing. And they were putting out of market, but they didn't call back the implants that are already in the women. They are just calling it back not to put into another women, but they didn't, notify all these women that had these implants. And it was just her research or whatever. I can't remember how she got to the point where she knows that. So and she had started having issues and pain here and here, and the way she was talking about it and what she was experiencing, and suddenly a brain fog, and she couldn't remember things and so on. So I looked into that, and a lot of women showed the same things, and that's so awful. And I read all the comments. I got into forums. So even me, after a couple of hours, I read hundreds and hundreds of women that experienced the same things. Autoimmune diseases like lupus and Hashimoto was one of the most common things they all had in common. Breast cancers, moms and sisters and family members who died because of suddenly appearing strange breast cancer. The ones who got their implants removed after years healing, it went completely away, some even immediately. And I was shocked. I was shocked about the list, what all happened to this woman and what the symptoms are, and how the FDA is working to hide these informations, not to hide it, but to ignore it, just to make more profit out of the plastic surgery thing that is now putting a lot of shit into women, like the Botox, and if you put hyaluronic into your face, it doesn't do anything because your body's gonna just it's such a bullshit. If people really look deeper into it, that's not the case. I follow some women that talked about it very openly, that the body doesn't just disappear these things, it just keeps it, and you can see it. And that's why a lot of doctors are just moving back from this whole situation. But I'm shocked that basically so many women have that now, and so many women are getting sick, so many women are having Hashimoto and having issues with the thyroids, especially with autoimmune diseases like lupus and these kind of things. So I don't know if an MS, I didn't see any case of MS, autoimmune disease, in that case. But when you're, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because your body is fighting something that doesn't belong there, and it's medication, it's stuff that's toxic, everything that's toxic basically. But the most common sense is saying that my body, which is also creating a capsule to fight these things and to protect it, just to not go into my body and whatever you want to call it, it makes sense that my body is now for 15 years fighting these things that doesn't belong there and making me sick, because my body cannot focus on healing and doing the right things and doing stuff that it should do. I think honestly, from that perspective, what I read now, what I got in myself into that, heard all the stories from this woman, it makes sense that the body is fighting that and taking all the resources to fight it. So I know that I need to remove them, and I will now have this appointment with this woman as well, and I will have just many appointments, because this surgery is gonna be life-threatening, especially with the 15 years in my tissues and what's capsuling it. It's dangerous. And me having this pain and these issues, I'm pretty sure that something's wrong with them. So if something is ruptured and they just couldn't see it, which happened to them also, that's the problem where they need then to remove everything that went out of the thing. So you really need somebody that is really good at what he's doing or she's doing. And for me, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I don't want anybody to go through this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Especially, just look into all the women that got it removed. Just before you make such decisions to put anything. Our body is not made of that we put something in it which doesn't belong there. Nothing. No medications, or when you have an accident or something really bad is happening to you, of course, try alternative things as much as possible. But if you're just done with this, like with my iron, my body is not absorbing it. My body, I think honestly, it's just fighting. And also with the stomach stuff and having issues with a lot of food, that's also one of the side effects that a lot of these women also were talking about, and that all went away after they removed it. So that my body is not even capable of absorbing iron, I think that really makes sense, that is fighting something that is in the area which is a female part where the iron takes also, it's just connected with everything. So it does make sense. So for me now, having the Hiferol, that's what they gave me, with vitamin C, and most important part, not taking anything without a baseline, knowing what's going on in your body. Just don't take any supplements. Don't take any supplements. None of them. Also nothing. Also not electrolytes and so on, if you don't know your baseline and if you don't have any symptoms that indicate that you really need it. If you, especially in the beginning of carnivore, feeling dizzy, did you drink enough first? If not, did you have enough salt? Maybe these kind of things. There are so many theories. Then without salt, take the salt, don't take the salt, and all these things. But drinking then water which contains the electrolytes, which is just not tap water, that's better than to take just supplements without having even a knowledge about what is going on in your body. Do you have enough of it or not? And what is enough? Also, the baseline is not enough sometimes. Our body needs more. If we saw it with the vitamin C, vitamin B, vitamin D, and vitamin B12, which I upped. And yeah, by the way, the doctor saw that and they didn't say anything about it. They say, oh yeah, okay, it's fine. So I'm good with that. So I made the decision to take them out, but I don't know how. And I want to do it this year or next year, because I do think, also based on the 5 to 7 months cancer situation, I have the feeling it comes from this. I have the feeling that with them inside, my body will just not be able to fight anything. That's just my feeling. And I need to give my body the energy, the time to fight that. But the biggest fear I have is that it's backfired and I will have pain for the rest of my life because something is going wrong. And all the surgeries that I had, my removal of my I don't know the English word, which is, everybody has that extra and you can remove it. It's in the stomach part. It broke at my part, so they had to remove it. I almost died on that table when they removed my child from my body just because they messed up. I almost died because I was bleeding from the inside. I didn't see it. So every time I went to the hospital, something really, really bad happened. And when I had my breasts done, also this situation happened that I just ripped this thing apart. So it's like all hospitals are really made for me to die there. So I have that in mind, and I'm scared to death to go there, because I'm just too scared, and I want to believe that nothing's gonna happen, but that they will puncture my lungs. That's my biggest fear. And that people don't talk about that. People do talk about it, but not that openly, also on the media parts, which was when I grew up. that this is not something, no person should go through this. No person should put anything in their body, hormonal wise, medication, no, no changing their gender things. This is insanity. Is insanity what's going on, to put this thing with young women and just children in general, and you know, boys, to, that's okay to take these hormone blockers or whatever they're taking and to change their gender really early on. It's insanity. It's insanity. You are not helping anybody. And especially as a young person, I can tell you that from not only my experience, but so many of my friends. We all have been depressed. All of us had issues. And a lot of it comes also from the sugar industry. A lot of it. And just, you know, Homestead, how, if I'm saying it right, his daughter, she had an amazing video out there, how she felt and how depressed and anxieties because of sugar when she ate sugar and when she started carnivore and so on. So we all been at the point of depression, and especially anxiety and these kind of things, and too much being manipulated by media and social media and what we see and how it affects us. And even me just watching, you know, kind of videos just affects me a lot from my mood. And I think it's the worst thing what's happening right now in our world. It's the worst thing. We are destroying children for the rest of their life, and that's making me so damn angry. It's just not helping. This whole what's happening at the Olympics is not helping anybody, and it's had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with openness and being, you know, accepting and blah blah blah. It's putting this information out which is so damn wrong. It's not something good to put anything hormonal in a child or a young person, no matter what they think it is. If you feel like that, live your life like that. But to change it from surgery part, from medication part, to put something in your body just to change who you and how you've been born by toxic. It is toxic. Everything that comes from pills and injections and surgery is toxic. And to realize that, it took me, now I'm 35 years old and I was 19. It took me that many years to understand that, to realize that, and to not be as insecure, and even me being still an insecure person, but prioritizing my health. And that's what a lot of fitness influencers are also all going back to. Their, they want to be natural, they want to have a healthy life and everything. And to have a surgery done to yourself is not having a good lifestyle and a healthy lifestyle. And they're all going back to this natural thing, but you will never be natural again. You will have scars for the rest of your life. And especially with this hormonal thing and changing genders and so on, you will have scars for the rest of your life. And I'm totally against it. I'm sorry if you feel offended by that, but me being in that situation, just with some breast implants, just with that, not even imagining what it means that you put so much more toxic than I did because of my MS and all the autoimmune diseases, which may be caused by this little thing. All of it. Spending time in wheelchairs, not being with my family, being completely out of socializing, being depressed, want to kill myself often more than once. These kind of situations coming from food, because sugar is making you feel like that. Believe me, trust me on that. I swear to God. Anxieties from social media parts and your surrounding and the social environment, which is putting pressure into you or bullying you and these kind of things, that can make you feel like that. And just to go with this feeling to change something for the rest of your life is you will not do your child or anybody else justice for that. Just know. because I was one of the people that said, but now I'm happy. Now I feel secure. Now I feel right in my body. But you are not aware of what's gonna happen next, and it's not worth it. It's damn it not worth it to be bothered for the rest of your life with pain. And everything else you can outgrow. You can do things. You can really help yourself with so many things, you know. Especially my whole MS journey is the best example for that. Everybody is struggling and, you know, saying, oh, it's MS, you need to take a medication, you will kill kids because you're not taking your medication. My MRI is showing that I did the right thing. My MRI was showing that. And also the whole pre-cancer situation is showing that I did a very good decision not to taking medication that is causing breast cancer in the first place. So just know no to anything that is putting into your body by medication, by toxics, which is not necessary. Necessary is really you are dying on the table because you're bleeding out and you need to take something to stop the bleeding. That's what I'm talking about. Then medication is fine. Or if your body, my whole nerve system is not working, if I don't take the iron because my body is not absorbing it because of my whole situation, not even from liver, nothing organic works. It's just getting lower and lower, and it cost me not to even be possible to walk. These are situations where you should take things, and I'm sorry, and I know I'm stepping on people's toes with that, but I'm having this experience with 1% of what some people experience in 100% changing and having a lot of surgery and then dying from it. So I really needed to address that, and just saying don't put anything in your body, because as I said, now being a mom of an 11-year-old son, thinking about maybe I can die on this table just because I want to have some big boobs. It's just sad. It's sad. It's really sad. And so my plan now that I'm making is going to Japan with my son, because that's what he always wished, just in case if I die on this damn fucking table. That's what I'm thinking about. But 35 years, doing everything right now, doing the best I can. And there is still a possibility that I can die on a fucking table just because somebody is maybe just cutting a little bit too much. And or spending the rest of my life in severe pain because my body with the autoimmune diseases is not handling pain very well, not at all. So the recovery for healthy people, even, it took years for some people. Some it took weeks, but for a lot of them it took years. So if my pain is going through the roof and I will have pain for years and years and years, so always, I don't want to even imagine that. So think about that. Is it worth it? I don't think so. And I'm gonna call it tomorrow and then see how fast the appointment I still can have and how I get there and who else I will contact, because I want to have at least 3-4 surgeons seeing, you know, looking into them, reading all the comments about them, and just figuring out what to do. Maybe even in America, because I know some of the surgeons, for example, the one who did the Hadid, Yolanda Hadid, maybe I can figure out who was that. You know, even it costs, you can't even imagine that. But it's yeah. So we're gonna look more into it, but I think that was a very important video to talk about. And yeah, I do think that's important for everybody, women and men, especially men. If you have a wife or something and you want to do it, protect them with all your costs. Just seeing that, okay? Just, it's not worth it, because you're gonna have not a pretty woman with big boobs there, which you can enjoy. You're gonna have a very sick person at your side at some point. Maybe not in 1 year, maybe not in 2, but maybe in 3 or 4 years, that just suffers in pain constantly. And I don't think that anybody will enjoy that. And as I said, it's thousands, hundred thousands of women that are in these forums and things that are experiencing this kind of breast implant illness. So just keep that in mind. And I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow, and I'm gonna see and just figure out what to do next. So see you tomorrow.